We are 11 days away from Trump taking office officially. I know that many of us are dreading that moment, but it is inevitable now. And due to that fact, those that voted for the guy, those that are, I should mention, quite cultishly devoted to him, I should say, are in a state of celebration. See, a couple days ago, there was a big Trump rally. And RFK Jr. was there. I think Elon Musk was there. Donald Trump was there. It was a big old rally. And a bunch of people ended up going to said rally to meet these figures that they idolize and see as gods. Got super drunk. And then proceeded to get pulled over. And I mean, a good handful of these people were pulled over for drunk driving on their way home from this rally. And all these cops proceeded to arrest them. Mind you, these are drunk Trump supporters, so you're already pulling for, like, weird, mentally ill people. They're drunk, and they just met their heroes who they believe are about to run the country in such a way where their side and their quote-unquote people can do whatever they want. And all these cops, this is the best part, all these cops had body cams on. You all know what that means, right? You all know what that means, right? Yep. Yep. That's right. You see, Adam Mockler, great content creator. I've quickly found him to become one of my favorite progressive, news guys on YouTube, has put together a compilation of videos of drunk Trump voters getting arrested and having meltdowns after getting pulled over after this event. This has happened with numerous people in the aftermath of this event. It is actually crazy that this is like some sort of, like you can predict an epicenter of drunk driving crazies after any Trump rally, and tie them back directly to that. I watched only a few moments of this earlier today, and then I decided I was going to save it for on stream, because what I saw of it was just that funny. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. It's called Drunk Trump Voter Arrested After MAGA Event. Let's watch. Give us the news, Adam Mockler.
I have a few videos of Trump supporters that you guys need to see. Now, one is quite funny, as you see a visibly intoxicated MAGA supporter on body camera footage trying to use Trump and RFK Jr. to get out of their arrest. Meanwhile, they're clearly drunk behind the wheel of a car. But before we dig into that one, this is a Trump supporter getting mad and hurling racial slurs at an Asian woman for absolutely no reason other than they just wanted to. Even her boyfriend tries to pull her back, tries to take off her MAGA hat and hide it because he knows how bad it looks. And I've mentioned this before, but one of the most troubling aspects of Trump's win, there's a lot of things, but it's the idea that it emboldens, it empowers certain segments of society to act on their worst urges. When you're modeling the president, and the president is a felon who has said insane things in the past, people feel emboldened to say and to act on their worst urges. And don't get me wrong, this isn't every single Trump supporter, every single Trump voter. Over 70 million Americans voted for him. Not all of them are like this, but when the Proud Boys or when far-right militias see Trump pardoning the January 6th insurrectionists, that only creates the permission structure for them to act on their worst urges. And they think, hey, if I break a law, if I'm mean or racist, but it's in favor of Donald Trump, then I can escape all accountability the same way that Trump has. So let's jump.
I need you guys to understand that in Trump's first term, there was an insane spike in hate crimes and hate demonstrations. There wasn't tiki torch rallies like Charlottesville in modern America like that until Trump brought that kind of energy back. You know, like the KKK was on its dying leg in that era, and then Trump came about and revitalized white nationalism and racist fervor in America. I'm sure it hadn't necessarily gone anywhere, but it had gotten quieter, you know? The racists were more scared and socially anxious about letting it be known what they were. They knew that we knew being racist was bad, and we all generally had an idea of what a racist sounded like. But with Trump and the sanity washing, and that's what it's called, by the way, sanity washing. As Trump has done these things and lowered the bar, they continuously try to change the context and sanity wash it. They make it not sound crazy. And as they sanity wash progressively crazier and crazier and crazier things, eventually insane overt racism is seen as a normal, and you're crazy if you call it racist. That's where we've gotten. Now, this video that we're about to see is fucking insane. This woman who's recording is Asian, and she asked this couple, who I guess just came from a Trump rally, for some directions to a restaurant, or a bar, sorry, in Fort Worth, Texas. And the drunk girlfriend here, you can tell this is a couple, the drunk girlfriend with the MAGA hat on just goes full racist rant, like just letting every ounce of hate in her heart roar out between her lips. Now, I need you guys, my big squad W moment here, okay? My top G, my fellow top Gs. Oi, my fellow top Gs, we're going to talk about how awful women are, right? Now, in all seriousness, though, you know how we talk about the 4B movement, and we talk about, like, the rise of right-wing radicalism as if it's, like, a male-only problem, almost? Like, don't get me wrong. The majority of conservatives are male, and the majority of young males that, like, are going into politics are going conservative. That is a real problem, don't get me wrong. But there are a substantial amount of women out there, too, who are themselves just as fervent in these ideas. This woman is not some grifter who's pretending to be like a racist conservative to make her husband or boyfriend happy. And that is going to become very evident as you watch this video. No, not pick-me's hit the mat. A pick-me is a girl who is actively diluting her personality with different behaviors to appeal to a group of generally men so she can fit in and be accepted. This is truly who she is, and I think you would be surprised at how many like young women out there think exactly as this woman does. And as long as there are women out there that act and behave like that, all those loser, racist, bigoted men will always have women out there willing to validate their awful beliefs and positions. They will always be able to tell themselves that it's just the feminists who don't like patriarchy or whatever, right? Take a look at this video.
Open with this first video, obviously a bit of a trigger alert because at the beginning this person says Ching Chong to an Asian person. I don't have to explain why that's racist, but let's watch.
Ching Chong, eat my spaghetti rolls. Ugly ass bitch. Come on, what you gonna do?
We're done. We're done. Hey, I don't want any problem.
Look at how he takes
I will say, it is hilarious how instead of like grabbing her and be like, hey, calm down, you're drunk. Hey, babe, you're drunk right now. Calm down. I'm going to take you home. You're drunk. Instead of that, he's like, oh, shit. This video is definitely going to go viral. I don't want my man Donald Trump, our God Emperor, to be associated with this. And so he takes the hat off of her. Yeah. No, these are people who are just dyed in the wool, like they hate people who look different, racists. And now that Trump is taking office and they just came back from a Trump rally, they feel empowered. They feel like that the time has begun where they can finally say what they've always wanted to say, and they can finally behave like they've always wanted to behave. When they say they want free speech and they want to stop being censored, what they mean is they don't want there to be any negative consequences whatsoever for what you're about to watch.
No, we're done. We're done. We're done. Hey, I don't want any problem.
Look at how he takes off the MAGA hat. He knows how bad it looks.
No, we're done. We're done. We're done. Hey, I don't want any problem. Chill.
I'm not going done. I'm not going done. Oh, what the fuck? Can you get your eyebrow? Can you get your eyebrow? Get your eyebrow?
So she attacks the woman for being Asian, like literally physically assaults the Asian woman, and then starts saying, I think she's saying eat the egg roll over and over again. And now she's walking backwards while holding her boyfriend as if he's pulling her back. Wait, he is. Okay, he is. Yeah, I think she might be a little drunk. I need you guys... I will die on this hill, okay? I will ban you if you ever try to suggest to me that the term white trash is racist and I shouldn't use it. If you ever hear me say white trash, this is what I'm talking about. I grew up in fucking Florida, and I will not hear you tell me that I can't say white trash. Because this is white trash, and I know white trash, okay? It's the bitches who will do shit like this while saying some racist shit. This is the kind of shit that we're talking about here. Who the hell thinks white trash is racist? Actual people in my chat who have gotten offended when I use it as an insult before.
You're the most ugliest bitch. Hey, look at you two trying that bitch. Come eat my pussy, hoe.
She said, come eat my pussy, hoe. This is white trash. I don't know what else to call it. You are just witnessing a white trash ass hoe in real time. You speak my language, Zan? I'm glad. Yeah, her like go-to insult was engage in gay sex with me, ho. Okay. Yeah, this is just trashy shit. That's all she is. She's just a trashy bitch.
Come on, man.
All right, I'll stop it there. It's not funny, but that's genuinely upsetting. It's upsetting in the same way as when I hear somebody in public use casual homophobia or say homophobic slurs. It's upsetting in the same way as when this is a normal person getting screamed at because they're Asian. This is not something that should be allowed in a society in 2025, I mean ever, but I thought we've largely progressed past these things, but it seems like Trump brings this regressive vibe where people feel like they can hurl racial...
Texas has fighting words, like, laws, right? Like, I'm pretty sure the Asian woman who recorded the video who was being insulted and having racism hurled her way, I think could have legally, like, popped this lady in the mouth a couple, right? Granted, the boyfriend would have probably committed a hate crime, like, afterwards, but, like, probably would have been worth, you know? I think women should honestly be trained to be more violent towards bullies. I don't know why. Maybe violence is never the answer, but also I think women should probably be taught to be a bit more violent in response to bullies, and particularly... assertive and violent in response to, like, just creepy, unwelcome behavior in general. I don't like the idea of, like, you have to be respectful and generally seen as submissive and kindly if you're a girl. I don't like that idea. I think that, like, men are taught to be too defaulting to violence, and women are taught to be not violent enough in response to things that absolutely warrant it. And this is a good situation of that. I feel like, in most cases, in this situation, a dude wouldn't think twice before throwing a punch at another guy saying something like this. And I feel like more bully. I want to see more videos of bullies like this getting just knocked the fuck out. Can I just be honest with you guys? I take great joy in watching racists get the shit slapped out of them. There's a lot of videos of that on the internet. They're great. And I want to see more of it, okay? And I hate when I see some racist woman being racist towards another woman, and it's like 1 out of 10 times the woman who is being, like, racistly attacked or assaulted ends up, like, swinging in response. And when they do, I'm like, yes! Oh my god, yes! Yes, finally, karma! Is bully really the right word? Yeah, this woman is a bully. These are bullies. That's what they are. They're adult bullies. They should, like, I don't know. I feel like more people should just, and especially in Texas, we're allowed to in a situation like this. I can see clip chimpers using this to paint Zan as some sort of Fed poster. I guess, but I don't know. I just like seeing videos of douchebags getting knocked the fuck out. Like, if there's just a situation where there's someone who's minding their own business or not doing anything wrong, and some asshole starts to try to start something, and then the asshole ends up getting knocked out by the end of that video, it is a great video. I love shit like that.
Racial slurs like it's 1920 and you won't have any accountability. I mean, does this woman not know she's being recorded? Or does she know and think, you know, it's 2025, Trump's president, he's a felon rapist, I can do whatever the hell I want. But I pointed this out. Look at this dude. I'm assuming her boyfriend takes off
The MAGA
her
hat.
because he knows it looks bad. And the caption right here says, ask them for directions to a bar in Fort Worth, Texas, and they just started yelling at us. And later on, she said,
Funnily enough, the taking the hat off just makes it easier to identify her face and like figure out what her name is and who she is. You know, this lady is going to get identified now, and her employer, school, and everything else is going to receive a lot of emails
saying, eat your egg roll. Eat your egg roll. It's just such a terrible thing to say. And it's the worst type of racism. I want to show you this drunk woman getting arrested next. But first, you guys remember this video of this Trump supporter freaking out on a bunch of poll workers? It's the same thing. Trump emboldens the worst people of society. And I'm not saying that if you voted for Trump, you're a terrible person. We shouldn't be using that type of rhetoric. We need to be winning people over. I'm just saying this dude emboldens a lot of terrible.
I think it's worth keeping track of the fact that I think it was less than 40% of America voted for Trump at all. Think about that for a minute. Less than 40% of America voted for Trump. Like, way less than 40%. Like, close to 30. And so, I think it's important to emphasize the fact that even if Trump won, with the popular vote, mind you, he didn't win the majority of America over to voting for him. By a long shot, he didn't. America has problems, don't get me wrong, like, as a whole, but, like, the voting demographic of America isn't even the majority of America. So keep that in mind.
Terrible behavior in a way that Joe Biden doesn't.
It was 33% of Americans voted for Trump. Thank you. We got exact numbers from Brian Rimlinger. It was 33% of Americans voted for Trump. That's honestly not that many. I mean, it's a worrying amount, don't get me wrong, but just don't let it in your mind. Don't think of it as being half the country or more than half the country voted for Trump, because it's not even close.
You fucking bitch.
Oh, wow.
That's no reason? Yeah, all that sir.
Wow.
This is my motherfucking right here.
Wow.
Why is it defending you? It's like it's not. All right, then shut the hell up and let me vote.
Okay, I worked the polls and
Shut the hell up and let me vote, goddammit! What do you mean? What is, like, is he upset? I think he's upset because they want him to take off his Trump hat. You're not supposed to wear, like, campaigning stuff for any particular candidate when you go into a polling station. You're not even allowed to have signs up or to stand with a sign for a particular candidate within a certain distance of a polling station. Those are just the laws. And so I guess he had a meltdown because, like, it's my rights to have my Trump hat on. AKH925, can I quickly say thank you so much for the tier 4 sub. Hot damn, you are immensely generous for that. Holy crap. Thank you so much. I'll assume that's a 1-monther, but correct me if I'm wrong. I really appreciate that. Holy crap. Said, top tier sub because Zan is a real one. And then the smiley face with the shades on because it's cool. Thank you, AKH925. I really appreciate it. You are immensely generous, and I hope you appreciate that gold name. Now back to it.
in 2020, and they told us relentlessly, if somebody comes in with Trump merchandise on or any sort of merchandise on, you have to tell them you can't be campaigning at the polls. Those are two things that you cannot be doing. And these women aren't telling him, hey, take off your hat because we don't like Trump. They're literally saying you can't have political campaign gear on when you're voting because it's a form of campaigning to influence people's votes. You know, funny story from back in 2020 when I ran the polls, I just turned 18, and this lady comes in with a big Trump scarf on, literally a scarf and a hat, and it just says Trump on it. And we told her.
One thing like, people use the term cult as an insult. But when I say that Trump supporters are a cult, I'm not trying to say it as an insult or a derisive joke. or like a jab at conservatives. I'm trying to make like actual useful observational statements about what I see from these people. And overwhelmingly, they behave in lockstep with what you expect from a cult. MAGA is a cult. One of my favorite questions, I think the first time I ever saw this done, I think Destiny had done this. And whether you like him or not, this is a pretty good line of thought. You ask a MAGA guy or a Trump supporter, name one thing you don't like about Trump. 99% of the time, they will immediately respond, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing I dislike about him. Or they'll, like, think about it and give, like, a nothing answer. But most of the time, they'll just admit they can't think of anything, which is very clear evidence of being in a cult. You just point out, like, yeah, because you're in a cult. You refuse to acknowledge any possible negative side of something. There's no thing that anyone likes that they can't acknowledge a single negative about, or something that they would prefer be different because it could make it a bit better. Like, if you think something is perfect and could never be made better in any way, and you refuse to acknowledge a way in which it could be improved, that is being in a cult. Mind you, it's the same way that Christians talk about the Bible, right? It's the perfect book. It is completely perfect. It's perfect because it's the Bible, because God wrote it. Nothing could make it better. It is the best book ever made. Like, that's how Christians talk about the Bible, because they're in a cult. And, like, I know I've got Christians in chat right now. You know, I'm not, like, insulting you, to be clear. Religions are a cult. You know, your cult leader could be Jesus, and in which case, you know, I don't think that's too harmful. But for MAGA, their cult leader is Trump.
The precinct dude told her, hey, you can't have political gear on while you're voting. It's just not how it works. And she goes, oh, do you want me to get sick? Do you want me to get a cold? What do you have against Trump? I'm not taking this off. I'm going to get sick if I do. And first of all, that's not even how you get a cold. But secondly, we finally got her to take it off because those are the damn rules. Now, finally, let's go over to this clip that was titled, Drunk Annoying MAGA Moron Who Just Met RFK. Our JFK and RFK at Trump rally gets arrested. How did she meet JFK? Okay, let's watch this video.
Go ahead and step out the vehicle.
Is there a JFK Jr.? I know there's RFK Jr. Is there a JFK Jr.? Because I got some news for that Reddit poster about JFK.
Over me. We're gonna go behind your vehicle. Is this your car? No. Whose car is it? My friends, my grandparents. Okay, go ahead and step out.
This video is from the same rally. This video is taken from the same rally that the first video was taken from. And something that I found quite interesting is that every video of these drunk drivers pulled over and like ranting and raving and having public meltdowns after this rally, or just caught on video having drunken public like freakouts after this rally, were all like younger 20s women. I think it's important because I know that a lot of especially progressive women and progressive dudes, actually, I think are probably the biggest offenders of this. I know because I was at a certain point, is an overly trusting assumption that women are monolithically in favor of what is good for them. Like, on a social level. I did think that, man, I'm not confident about Kamala Harris's chances compared to Biden's, but hey, I think Kamala Harris is still going to dominate in the election because I think women are going to come out in numbers never seen before to make a statement against Donald Trump and the Republican Party's active, loud fight to destroy their their right to bodily autonomy. And that's not what happened. And like the 4B movement has kind of fizzled out already. And all the while you're seeing videos of like drunk, racist, mentally ill weirdos coming home from MAGA rallies, and they're like young 20-something women. Especially in Texas, mind you, which is where this rally happened. Like young people, men and women, like in their 20s and even late teens, love Trump in those like hard red states, like in Texas and Florida and whatnot. And I think it's important to keep in mind that the young people, hell, even just women, are not like all based and out there trying to vote for or even advocate for what's good for them. Some women are just shitheads and we got to acknowledge that. Well, it's not that some women are shitheads and we got to acknowledge that. It's just that women are people and some people are shitheads. You know, like I always bring it around to this because for a lot of I know there's a lot of like young, mostly male, chuddy guys that are watching my content, like probably lurking. And I try to emphasize the overall message is, yeah, some women do suck. You might have been burned by some women in your life. That is not an excuse to be like, women are evil. They hate me and they hate men and feminism's evil. That is not what that is. Women are people and some people suck. Your negative experiences with women are not a reason to monolithize them. I've run into a lot of people who found this rhetoric very, very helpful. A lot of ex-incels have messaged me saying that, like, me being willing to call out the fact that some women are awful people, but it's because they're people. They are individuals who have themselves have character flaws and problems, put things into a perspective for them that, like, nothing else did. And that makes me happy. Makes me happy.
Go ahead and step out. We'll speak. Okay. We're gonna speak at the rear of your vehicle.
Okay, you can tell me when she's done speaking on my phone.
Yeah.
She's on my phone.
You can just tell already from the way she's speaking that she's drunk. Like, I've interacted with a pretty substantial amount of drunk people in my life, and you can just already tell that she is drunk.
Go ahead and step out. I'm not gonna ask you again.
Very clearly drunk, right? You can see she's visibly intoxicated behind the wheel. And if we skip forward just a little bit, she goes, I met Trump. I met RFK Jr. Take a listen.
My grandpa's vehicle. Can you please help me find the car keys?
We will. Let me just finish with this. What were you doing tonight?
Just hanging out with my friend at the Ben Hotel.
And where were you headed?
She can't even tell how much she's slurring her speech together right now. Like, she can't even tell how drunk she sounds, I don't think.
Back to Okeechobee.
Do you have any, like, physical defects or disabilities?
No.
Do you suffer from, like, diabetes or epilepsy or anything like that?
No.
Do you have any problems with your eyes? Okay. Are you injured or sick?
No.
Okay.
She's clearly getting a little bit feisty with the police officer here. I'll keep playing.
Are you under the care of a doctor?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously drunk and obviously getting frustrated, and the alcohol and probably the prerequisite mental illness needed to go to a Trump rally combined are now leading her to getting a little bit like... I don't know if you guys have ever argued with a drunk person. I have. And they revert like an actually drunk person. And I've argued with like stumbling drunk people. They revert into children. When I was a lifeguard, I argued with a guy who was drunk as shit, and he started stomping like a child, having a temper tantrum. I've argued with family members when they're drunk. They start tantruming like children. It's like literally like toddler level behavior. You just revert to that in a drunk state, I guess, when arguing. I don't know why, but yeah, she's starting to do that same thing that I can always recognize in an intoxicated individual when they get frustrated, which is reverting to a child's way of dealing with conflict. Some drunk customer came into my work once, and yeah, kind of creepy. Yeah, it's very bizarre and uncanny, obviously, to see like a drunk adult behaving like that, you know?
So,
I literally met RFK tonight, man.
you're what?
I literally met RFK tonight at the Ben Hotel.
Yeah.
He was so freaking awesome. He's gonna make America great again.
Remember, guys, not every MAGA bro is some like neckbeard, overweight, wife beater, Confederate flag, thumb looking motherfucker. Gotta remember.
Most
You don't even need a breathalyzer test anymore. If she's saying that on camera, that RFK is going to make America great again, you know she's drunk.
What's his name? RFK Jr.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who Donald Trump is?
Yes.
He literally just won. Please arrest me. Please. Take me to jail. If you don't know who that is, are you literally retarded?
What's your first name?
Jesus.
What's your first name? Hello? What's your first name?
Are you gonna like?
What is your first name? For what?
An incredibly entitled person called her the R word, called the police officer the R word because she didn't know who RFK Jr. is. I mean, not knowing who RFK Jr. is likely a good thing for this cop. I'm glad this cop is living a normal life and not consumed by what RFK Jr. thinks. But just to take it back, Trump oftentimes fails to condemn certain groups. He unequivocally failed to condemn extremist groups such as the Proud Boys. He said, stand back and...
You gotta remember, towards the start of Trump's presidency, we started to see things like Charlottesville happen. And then towards the end of Trump's presidency, it spread globally. And we saw things like Christchurch go down. The biggest mass shooting ever in New Zealand history was done at a mosque in Christchurch by a shooter who was, like, wrote a whole manifesto about how he was radicalized by internet right-wing personalities that flourished under Trump. And from, like, the momentum that Trump brought about, like the whole Maga thing brought in. Candace Owens was one of the biggest inspirations of the Christchurch shooter, actually. For those that don't know, like, Candace Owens, she's black, and so she uses her race as a shield, and because she can do that, she tends to be a lot more mask off than your average, like, white guy right-wing figure. And so for a very long time, she has been doing, like, the full-on open... like white nationalist great replacement, like they're replacing us, they're replacing white people, it's genocidal, yada yada narrative, and getting away with it by using identity politics as a cudgel. And she's actually radicalized a lot of people because she has some of the most radically violent rhetoric out there. She's like a full-on Hitler defender, by the way. Like at one point she said that Hitler was fine until he started to go outside of the borders of Germany and start like invading other European countries. She has gone on the record saying word for word that Hitler did nothing wrong until he left Germany. Those were her words. I'm sure I'll get clipped like quoting her, but regardless, that is what she said. I think it was like in a big like meeting, like, or not like a hearing of some kind too. But yeah, like the rhetoric has gotten so much worse since Trump took office the first time. I can only imagine how much even more worse it's going to get now that he's in office again and has become way more mask off than he's ever been in the past. Like, he was bad before. Now it's a whole different level.
And stand by. He's failed to condemn white supremacists and far-right factions multiple times, and his second win will further embolden these groups. Law enforcement officials are waiting for essentially a renaissance of militias. If you guys saw that video I made last week where somebody snuck into a militia, and he's a liberal dude, snuck into a militia, and it turns out there were tons of sheriffs, doctors, otherwise successful people who have got...
A lot of militia groups are growing and they're pulling together their weaponry because they believe that Trump is going to bring about the day of the rope. And for those who don't know, this has been for decades now, Nazis have fantasized about this idea that one day they're all going to get their guns and they're going to roll into the cities from the countryside and they're going to slaughter all the minorities and all those liberal Democrat voters and they're going to hang them by nooses. And so it's called the Day of the Rope. And so all these militias that you see these right-wing groups forming and making, and where they're like stockpiling arms and training as if there's like a war coming, they might even just call it a civil war. What they're like hoping for is the Day of the Rope, the day where they get to come in and wipe out all of what they call like undesirables or degenerates, right? They want a real-life purge, basically. Only it's a purge where they go and they kill whoever they want, and that's it. And they want like government backing to do so. That's been like their like fantasy for decades. It's from the Turner Diaries. Thank you.
Gotten sucked into these militias and now have nefarious intentions. So even beyond organized groups, this extends to individuals, actors who might feel shielded by this broader cultural shift. I mean,
how do they know who the Democrats are? To be very clear, they don't. And realistically, this would never actually happen or work out. And I should mention by the way, conservatives are terrified of cities. Like, I don't know if you've, like, figured this out, but, like, if you've ever, like, met a rural conservative, they're so terrified of cities, they've never been to one. All they know is what the media tells them, and they're so terrified they will never actually go to one, most likely. Because they're genuinely scared of them. The idea of, even if they were armed and rolling in with an army, that they would enter a place like LA or New York City, never. They fully believe that gangs of thousands, tens of thousands of armed, like, black gang members are there waiting to kill them when they get there. Whether they go there to visit or as a militia. That's what they believe the cities are like, because that's what Fox News and Alex Jones tell them the cities are like, and they have no real life reference to go off of that counters the narrative that they've been taught. I grew up in Arkansas. Now I live near San Francisco, and I'm still in group chat with high school classmates. Lol. I hear a lot of that. They are literally, like, just rural people in general are terrified of the city. Like, it's a genuine fear, like one you might have for, like, a demon or a vampire.
I personally know people from high school that I'm still friends with on Facebook or Instagram, and they're posting increasingly right-wing things that they probably wouldn't have posted a few years back. So when we normalize certain types of prejudice, and again, not every single person who voted for Trump is prejudiced. We cannot make blatant statements like that. But when Donald Trump is openly prejudiced, and then people see that that is rewarded, he actually gets back into office, this creates a broader environment where marginalized communities like immigrants or people of color or LGBTQ people or Asian Americans just get absolutely bombarded with bigotry. But I'll leave it at that. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like.
Very good video, Adam Mockler. You should leave a like and a subscription and a comment on Adam Mockler's video, and on mine if you enjoyed it. But my overall point here is to show off just, like, the types of people, not only that are like your hardcore rally attending MAGA types, but also what kind of mindset they inhabit. You know, a drunk man's words are a sober man's thoughts, and all these individuals were clearly drunk. And because of that, they were very open about what they believe. The first woman, very openly racist. The third, very blatantly in your face about how entitled and snobbish and how power trippy she is about the idea that she voted for the guy who won, right? And the third guy is just sent into a rage at the idea that he can't wear his cult merchandise for a moment. Like, for 2 minutes, you have to take off your Trump hat. Sends him into a flying public rage freak out, a tantrum. These are not mentally stable people, and that's the demographic that Donald Trump and MAGA pull for. To a certain extent, there are a lot of conservatives out there that are actually unreachable. And I don't mean, I'm sure I'll get accused of ableism for this, but I don't really care because this is a completely true statement. But there are a lot of conservatives out there that are so mentally gone, you will never be able to reach them with any line of logic. They are attracted to Trump and his worldview because it is one that you have to be insane to believe. You just do. And so a certain large percentage of the most hardcore MAGA crowd are so out of it, you cannot change them. They will die with a Trump pin on their, like, little suit they get buried with. Like, they'll demand that in their documentation before they die. These are people who will ride or die with Trump until they die. They worship him, and they worship him because of something that is abnormal, that makes them want to find a guy like him to worship. Or they'll find one of his successors, but Trump will always be the OG for these people. They are going to worship him for a long time. Trust me. Trump had people who practically worshipped him in the world of real estate and investment before he ever got into politics, by the way. Trump has had a cult of personality way before it was politically oriented. It just got way bigger once he ran for president. But if you know, Trump has had a